Hi there, my name is Andrea Fields with Needle Artisan and Crafter, School of Handcraft Arts in downtown Farmington, Michigan. Listen, I was preparing to repair a well-loved quilt and decided I wanted to show you the processes I use. So I will tell you that a few years ago I went on a day trip to Shipshewana, Indiana with some ladies and took a three double wedding ring quilt with me that was 3 generations old and very well loved also, but it was very worn in some places, and in a few places it was worn through and through, and I was hoping I would get someone to repair it and ship it back to me. But after speaking with the mercantile owner, and they told them that I do know how to sew, two ladies actually sat down with me and thoroughly explained the process of repairing this quilt to me. And those are some of the processes I still use today when I do repair quilts. You should know that I will be doing all the repairs by hand. Once it's complete, I will uh, quilt it, top stitch it with some cotton thread, an older cotton thread. I will not use quilting thread because it's going to be way too sturdy. So if you have older thread or mending thread or darning thread, just tug on it. If it doesn't break right away, this should be sufficient. Now, what happens if you repair something, an older garment that you love, and then when you wash it or have it cleaned and it rips apart again? That usually means that the thread you used was much stronger than the garment would allow. So when I'm repairing older products, I try to use older or not a quality brand thread. So let's just get started. I chose this section of the quilt because it has all of the types of repairs that need to be done for this whole quilt in this section. And because I'll be doing them by hand, it's going to take maybe 6 weeks, and then I'll again quilt the top, and I'll probably do it like in 1 inch sections so that it will resist getting ripped in any other places. So let me start with this section right here, just because it's close to the border, and because it's kind of loose right here. So all I'll have to do with this section is just turn it under, and I have a needle and thread. I thought I had it right here, but I don't. But you know what a whip stitch is, or a quilting stitch? Maybe I'll just do that for you later. But all I'll do is turn it under, and I'll do is just some whip stitches and make them as invisible as I can. And you see this section here, because it's stuck, I just want to snip it. And I want to snip all the loose threads because I want it to be really, really neat. And as much as possible, I don't want to look like it has been repaired. So I'll do those little invisible whip stitches that a lot of people use for applique quilting, and there we go. That'll fill that section. Now this section here that's already pretty open is what's going to happen here, here, and here. Now all of these fibers that were used, all of these fabrics that were used are cotton. And the beautiful thing about cotton is that it's cotton. So it's breathable, it wears well. But this piece of cotton here was not as good a quality as all the other pieces of cotton that were used in this quilt. So that's why those are the pieces that are predominantly frayed. So in order to repair this piece, I will cut down all the loose edges. We don't want any bulk. We want to protect the integrity of this quilt as much as possible. And then I have already cut out all the pieces of fabric I need to make patches. So here's the patch. It's a little larger. I'll fold it down, butt it up against this edge. This, I'll do it a little neater after the video. Yeah, you see there. Pin it down. Fold this edge. Butt it right up against there as much as possible. I don't want to overlap it because, again, I want to protect the look and the integrity. And this is bleached muslin, by the way, that I'm using to replace the white parts. And yes, it's going to be stronger than the original, but that's one of the reasons I'm going to quilt the top with the machine after it's all done, so that it all, the rest of the quilt will wear away the same. And so you get the idea. And so it's the same thing I'm going to do to this edge. Just fold it over, butt it against that seam as closely as I can, And then I'll whip stitch all around so all these pieces will be together. Once it's quilted, it's going to be beautiful. So that's what we'll do with all these other ripped pieces except this one, because it's not a big, huge chunk like this one, or and I'll show you that one in a minute. I have some Wonder Under. It's not Wonder Under, it's Heat and Bond. And so you see it's shiny on one side and paper on the other side. It's perfect for spots just like this that I don't think are going to fray away anymore, and it's not a big piece. So did you see I put the shiny side down, and because it's polyester batting that was used, and most likely a low loft batting because it wore away really well. It's not, you know, bulky in any places, so it should adhere very nicely to this. So I put the shiny side down. I'll put this together as much as I can, and then I'll iron it. And so with this, I will just do a cross stitch down, just like a mending stitch down, and I'll do a mending stitch here. And after I press it, I'll take the paper off of this side. Then I'll put it back down in here with the paper off. Do the mending stitches this way, the mending stitch that way, and then I'll press it again because that's going to hold those stitches together. And it's not going to look really like a patch job unless I do it really closely. So this piece here, if I turn it over, you see this seam is going to be exposed, and we don't want any exposed seams. So for pieces like that need to be patched, and again, we don't want any bulk, we don't want to compromise the integrity of it, I will use a non-woven seam binding in whatever color I want, and I will just overlap these seams. I'll probably use blue. And I think I have red also, but I have a couple of shades of blue. I will do this and whip stitch it down. And so that's how I'll repair this section. I think those were all the repairs I wanted to show you. And when it's done, I'll make sure to show you another video of how, you know, how it all came together. Oh, there is one more thing. The back of this quilt is in perfect shape. There are no holes, there are no rips, there are no compromises at all. And so that's the other reason I want to do it by hand, because I don't want any of the stitching I do on top to show through on the bottom. The only thing I want to show through on the bottom is when I actually quilt it with my machine using older or basting quality cotton thread. The last thing is that on this edge, you'll see it's kind of wearing away. So you have those, most machines, especially the newer machines, have what's called a triple stitch zigzag stitch. And so it looks like dotted lines in Z's like this. That's what I'll use to reinforce this edge with, because the edge is in pretty good shape other than, you know, it's phrased a little bit here and a little bit in sections. That'll keep this all down, and I won't have to, you know, replace it. It'll protect the integrity of this quilt, and the owner of it will be able to use it for many, many years to come. Thanks for watching, and I hope you'll tune in again.